We're joined now by the Labour MP Preet Gill, who believes Sir Keir Starmer should not resign. Good morning to you. Why is that?
Well, look, it's really disappointing to see many of my colleagues come out publicly, following what was a very disappointing and, of course, very difficult set of election results. What we don't do is come out and sort of say that change of leader is the answer. No, it is not. You have to go away. You have to humbly reflect. You have to come back to the electorate and say that you understand the grievances and the votes for different parties. And you are going to respond and come back and deliver on the very things that people voted for the Labour Party in 2024 in the way that they did. And so, yes, it's really good to hear at Cabinet today that Keir Starmer is saying that he will continue. He has a mandate till 2029, and he's got to be allowed to get on and deliver for the British public.
I think it's fair to say the Cabinet is probably divided, though, into different factions. A fair few number of Cabinet ministers coming to speak directly to the cameras after that meeting. A fair few slinking off without saying a word, not even looking at the cameras. And I'm just wondering what people watching today might be thinking. They might be thinking, I've seen this before. Where did I see that? Oh, yes, the Conservative government. It is exactly what Labour criticised the Tory government over. Uncertainty, mess, changing of leadership. Labour, it turns out, a lot of people will be saying, is exactly the same mess.
Absolutely right. And that's why a lot of my colleagues who are probably new into politics, don't have a lot of experience, have got to have much more political courage and come out and respond to actually how do we make sure that we are delivering the change that the country has actually voted us to do, not start internal theatrics which are being played out publicly. The country needs stability. It's so important for the economic position, given that we've got the Straits.
Why didn't you do that before? Why wasn't that done before the local elections? You completely lost the Senedd. You're out of Wales. You lost nearly 1,500 council seats. You know, you were obliterated at the local elections. Why didn't you come out and do this before? Why didn't people come out in support of Keir Starmer before? And why did Sir Keir Starmer do that in his speech yesterday? Because a lot of people, whether they're within the Labour Party or voters, found it completely underwhelming. They expected a speech listing Labour's set of accomplishments and giving concrete actions for how you're going to turn it around for this second part of governing. And nobody got that.
Look, we're seeing politics change in the United Kingdom. You know, we've gone from the two-party dominance. In Birmingham, we've seen a six-party split, nobody with overall control. In some parts of the country, the constituents didn't give any party a mandate to govern completely. You know, people now have the choice of expressing their grievances through different parties. Lots of people at the local election weren't voting on local issues. They were voting on immigration. They were voting on Gaza. The Labour Party has got to respond. There is a sense of collective responsibility. Keir Starmer has a cabinet and all of the ministers, and absolutely right. They should have been speaking up. They should have been addressing the issues, listening to what the electorate was telling them, that the pace of change was just not quick enough. And people want to see competency. But equally, what people were saying to me, there were lots of local issues playing out in this election. People were also not saying to me that they want to see a change of leader. They might not have been happy with Keir Starmer. But as I said to many people, this is not a personality contest. The country needs a serious leader. The world needs a serious leader. We are going to feel
that Labour don't seem to have decided that there is somebody that can be put forward with conviction. And are you just frightened that Labour have lost it now? This is it for Labour. If you look at the local elections, Sky News did a prediction that if that was sort of translated on a national scale at a general election, Reform would be the largest party, and Reform were out there on the doorsteps, essentially, in a lot of areas, saying, vote for us to vote Sir Keir Starmer out. I mean, in a lot of people's eyes, that is working. Do you fear that essentially is over for Labour now? It's now the long goodbye, if you like.
No, I don't believe it's over. You fight back, you come back and you respond to the British public. That's what people will expect from good leadership. We care about the country. We are patriotic about seeing the change. We see all the challenges. I've seen 14 years of austerity and what it's done to my communities. And I want to be part of a government that is able to deliver. And look, in 18 months, we weren't going to get everything right. But actually, if you think about what we're doing for working families in my constituency, with 8 free breakfast clubs, 2 nurseries, in our mainstream school, living wage going up, pensions going up. There's a lot of good things that Labour has done. We need to make sure that the British public is hearing what we are doing in delivery. And I say respectfully to a lot of my colleagues, especially the new intake, have political courage. I spent 8 years in opposition, and I know how tough that is. We have an opportunity of being in power. Let's use that for the good, because that is what people are looking to us at, is showing that sense of leadership. And look, difficulties happen, and we've seen instability in our politics, especially under the Conservatives. And, the Prime Minister really, really does care. He wants to make sure that he can deliver. Of course, look, I take on board if we're not cutting through with the British public, because people, when they were hearing Labour messages, were swayed and did come out and vote Labour. Let's not make this all doom and gloom. Incumbencies do lose, but there is a fight back from this. There are parties out there that are putting a lot of disinformation out and also using a lot of political slogans. Can't cost their manifesto, and they've got to be held account. And so I have every confidence that this government, under our Prime Minister and the Cabinet, need to get behind him and get on and do the delivery.
Preet Kaur-Gill, I really appreciate your time this morning, backing the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, who has reaffirmed today that he is not going anywhere. Thank you so much